Who is Mei Semones? Mei Semones is one of those artists. Well, her music lives in the quiet spaces between genres, i.e. jazz, bossa nova, indie rock, chamber pop, sometimes all at once. And yet none of it feels forced. It feels natural, like a conversation that drifts without ever losing its meaning. Today, I want to talk about Mei Semones not just as a musician, but as a portrait of what it means to create sincerely in an increasingly loud music landscape. I first discovered her music while scrolling through Instagram Reels, and I was so enamored by her sound that I immediately searched for her album on Spotify and gave it a listen, ultimately rating it a 9 out of 10. Well, in my opinion, Mei Semones is an artist that will cement herself as an artist with a clear, distinctive voice, and by the looks of it, it's getting there real fast. She started piano lessons at just 4 years old, with some of her earliest memories centered on practicing at home alongside her mother on a piano her grandmother had bought. By the age of 11, she moved on to guitar, influenced by 90s rock bands like Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins, as well as Back to the Future. You know the scene where Marty plays that song and says, "Your kids are gonna love it?" Yeah, that one. Inspired by it, she began taking classical guitar lessons. She didn't enjoy classical guitar much at the time, so she eventually switched to electric guitar, and that's how it all started. Well, how did she get into jazz then? During high school, she joined what she describes as an excellent jazz program where she developed strong instinct for improvisation and her own personal music expression. At the time, she was deeply immersed in jazz, drawing influence from artists such as John Coltrane, Thelonious Monk, and Charlie Parker. She was also inspired by friends within the jazz scene, particularly John Roseborough, who became a major influence, even collaborating in one song together in Waters of March. Moving to New York and playing with him, who was creating bossa nova influenced music, pushed her toward exploring a bossa oriented side of her own sound. As she was developing her style, she leaned more towards a math rock sound with a strong jazz influence. She often cites Clifford the Band, a Boston-based group, and her favorite band from the city, as a key reference point. She was also listening to several Japanese bands with a similar feel, such as Tricot and Regal Lily. Her journey continued having graduated from Berklee College of Music in 2022 and shortly was signed to Bayonet Records, a label synonymous with great indie artists such as Yule, Beach Fossils, and Scarlet Ray. Being signed to a label is an astonishing feat, and considering the artists on the roster, it feels like the perfect label for her to be part of. On May 2nd, 2025, Mei released her debut album a year after her first 3 EPs, Tsukino, Tsukikirai, and Kabutomushi. The album actually caught the attention of Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea, who described it as deft, articulate, and carrying a mysterious power. She was deeply flattered by the praise and thrilled to know he was a fan, especially given his status as one of the most influential musicians in the world. In fact, even her band's bassist was inspired to start playing bass because of him. In her own words, being recognized by someone she looks up to so much is a deeply gratifying and encouraging experience. Accompanied by Noah Leong on viola, Noam Tanzer on bass, Claudius Agrippa on violin, and Ransom McCrafferty on drums, she delivers an album full of calm and precision. It may not take huge risks, but that's hardly a flaw. Serenity and subtlety can be just as compelling as drama. In my opinion, her intent is clear. She seeks to authentically showcase her life through her love of multiple genres and her love of Japanese literature. album opens with Dumb Feeling, which was actually the first song she completed for the record, originally performed it during a shared air session in 2024. In my opinion, it's a straightforward introduction, and this is what I interpret from the song. Semones speaks to New York City with affection, but also with anxiety. Dumb Feeling is about sitting with emotion instead of controlling or defining it. Mei emphasizes instinct and intuition, and the song reflects that philosophy. The dumb feeling isn't negative. It's a quiet emotional state where she lets life happen. Lines like "I won't try to fight it," "let the dust settle on me" reflect her acceptance of change, written during her transition from Berkeley to New York. Some other lines like "staying still, I'll stay just despite it" shows a gentle resistance to pressure, not change itself. Ultimately, the song embraces emotional limbo, the calm, uncertain space where you exist without explanation. The album continues with Dango Mushi, named after a Japanese isopod. Well, this song to me offers a gentle, intimate exploration of memory and human connection, unfolding like a diary of small and meaningful moments. My Japanese is not that good, and maybe I'm misinterpreting some of the lyrics, but from what I can translate, well, this is about everyday life, watching trains, noticing animals, creating music, and revisiting childhood photos and letters. These everyday details, though mundane, are imbued with warmth and comfort, suggesting the beauty of being fully present. There's a strong sense of nostalgia and innocence as the song reflects on simple pleasures like playing in parks, observing nature, and forming quiet bonds with others. In the third track of the album, Tora Moyo, which is one of my favorite songs from the album, that feels like a celebration of all her various styles of genre packed into one song, which you have probably seen from her KEXP and Color performance, which garnered around 100k views. Tora Moyo meaning tiger stripes in Japanese. From what I can guess, this song is like a soft promise. It doesn't feel dramatic or grand, but just honestly sincere. The opening lines about meaning tomorrow, the day after, even on Saturday, well, it suggests a commitment through repetition. It's about choosing someone again and again, even when you're tired, worn down, because their affection doesn't fade with exhaustion. It's an expression of love. The narrator presents themselves as someone who's been hardened by the world but still emotionally open, especially in the presence of the person they love. Moving on, we have I Can Do What I Want. This song is where you can really hear her rock and bossa nova influences come together. It almost feels like the track has different acts, threading the two genres in a way that feels organic and never contrived. But what is it about exactly? It's about self-assurance born from attachment and clarity. The narrator is fixated on someone, yet instead of that obsession creating fear, it removes it. One of the repeated declarations, "I am going to do this the way I want to do it," can be seen as a rejection of outside judgment, where overthinking brings nothing good. The narrator chooses conviction over doubt. Love and independence exist side by side here. Being drawn to someone doesn't mean losing autonomy. It strengthens the narrator's resolve to live and move forward on her own terms. What's interesting is how the sense of confidence and clarity is reflected in Mei's vocal delivery. In an interview, she mentioned it's not intentional having her vocal delivery be the way it is and the instrumentation being more complex. She also notes that her soft, laid-back style is inspired by singers like Gilberto and Chet Baker, favoring straightforward, natural expressions over dramatic runs or heavy vibrato. This approach gives the song a sense of intimacy and honesty. perfectly complementing the confidence and self-assuredness expressed in the lyrics. Animaru, the Japanese word for animal, which is a theme across the whole album, is about being able to trust your instinct, following what's important to you, prioritizing yourself. It's the embodiment of Mei's deeper trust in her instincts. The title track of the album leans more heavily into the rock than most of the record, carrying a noticeably darker edge. The tension built in the verses contrasts sharply with the energetic driving choruses. Again, lyrically, the song centers on the idea of embracing one's animal nature. That humans are animals who eat, live, and ultimately should exist for themselves without apology. I don't have a ton to say about this one. Honestly, it's just a really solid, generally good track. The sixth track of the album, Donguri or Acorn, is one of the album's most distinctive tracks, presented as a stripped-back jazz duo. It's a simple, laid-back song, and the simplicity of it makes it charming in its own way. This song reminds me of an Ichiko Aoba track, and it offsets this with more of a traditional jazz sound built around acoustic guitar and double bass. It's a soft, gorgeous offering which just showcases her variety. When she was writing the song, she imagined what it would be like to be a little creature living in the forest. The imagery in the song describes a squirrel observing its surrounding, and you're moving through nature as just another animal within it. It's a beautiful but constantly dangerous world where survival is ordinary rather than dramatic. Overall, this song conveys coming to terms with nature's impartiality and a calm determination to live authentically within it. Norwegian Shag is a soothing bossa nova influenced track, distinguished by a lush string arrangement that weaves seamlessly around her vocal delivery. The song reflects on the process of moving on from friendships, showing appreciation for those who have been there for you, and striving to make the people who matter most proud. Its title comes from the tobacco Norwegian Shag, which Mei and her friends would use to roll cigarettes during their college days, adding a personal and nostalgic touch. Emotionally, the song serves as a tender meditation on memory, loss, and creative companionship. The repeated recollections of playing music together, particularly shared tunes and guitar passages, suggest that what is truly missed is not merely the presence of others, but the act of creating alongside them. The track captures grief not as a sudden or overwhelming force, but as something subtle, persistent, and quietly woven into the routines of everyday life, transforming remembrance into a bittersweet, reflective experience. Red with Wings, the album cover, is a song about someone who you thought was so great that you look up to them like an angel, but you realize they really aren't, hence the name Red with Wings. It also stands out as one of the album's heaviest tracks, blending intensity with subtlety in a striking way. The chorus feature distorted electric guitars that drives the energy, while the verses are more subdued, layered with delicate harmonics and intricate acoustic lines that provide contrast and depth. The arrangement becomes even richer in the final chorus, where multiple guitar layers create a dense textured soundscape. This combination of heaviness and intricacy showcases Mei's skill in balancing aggression and finesse, creating a song that is both powerful and musically nuanced. The album's penultimate track shares thematic connections with the title track Animaru, exploring ideas of identity and instinct but in a more personal, familial context. Translating the crayfish, the song is a nostalgic and affectionate tribute to Mei's twin sister, capturing a sense of sibling love and closeness. Musically, it is playful and inventive, showcasing her talent for genre blending. The verses feature bright, intricate, and fast-moving bossa nova-inspired patterns which contrast sharply with the simpler indie rock inflected choruses. This juxtaposition creates a dynamic and engaging listening experience, highlighting both Mei's compositional versatility and her ability to balance complexity with accessibility. Overall, the track combines heartfelt emotion with musical experimentation, making it both endearing and sonically compelling. Sasayaku Sakebu serves as the album's emotional finale, a love letter to music and the purpose it has given Mei's life. The title, which translates roughly to whispered scream, perfectly encapsulates the song's cultural tension, the coexistence of a profound, intense feeling that remains largely unexpressed. In Japanese, sasayaku means to whisper, while sakebu means to scream, reflecting the contrast between the song's delicate, intimate verses and its emotionally powerful choruses. Musically, it stands apart from the rest of the album with its graceful waltz rhythm and a string arrangement inspired by French elegance, giving the track a stripped down yet highly expressive quality. This simplicity allows the emotional core of the song to shine through, creating space for both vulnerability and intensity. As the album's closing statement, Sasayaku Sakebu ties together the thematic threads of personal reflection, love, and the quiet power of creativity. It leaves the listener with a sense of both resolution and lingering emotion, highlighting the transformative role that music plays in Mei's life, while offering a fittingly tender, introspective conclusion to the record. In conclusion, Animaru is a stunning journey through sound, emotion, and imagination, showcasing her remarkable ability to blend genres from bossa nova to indie rock, jazz, and math rock influences, while keeping her voice and vision at the center. Each track, from the playful curiosity of Donguri to the heartfelt intimacy of Norwegian Shag, and the reflective bittersweet finale Sasayaku Sakebu, highlights her mastery in crafting music that is both intricate and emotionally resonant. Her creativity isn't just technical, it's deeply personal. Themes of nature, instinct, memory, and love flow throughout the record, inviting listeners to explore her world as if walking alongside her through forests, city streets, and the quiet spaces of her own reflections. What stands out is her ability to convey vulnerability, joy, and intensity without ever feeling forced. A rare balance that marks her as a truly distinctive artist.